But in that live, I talked about how, I'm watching this video by Princella. She's talking about incels. I'm still watching it. I still haven't gotten all the way through it, but I'm about to take a break from it. So before I do, I just wanted to talk about another topic that she brought up that I know, like, I'm going to say right off the bat, I know this is controversial. I know it's controversial. And we'll see if I go as far into my controversial opinion as I could. But I just want to talk about, I probably will. But I just want to talk about how, like, this whole concept of life being a gift, right? This whole concept of, like, what is it? I can't even think of the terms right now, but pro-life. See, I was thinking it, but I couldn't remember that the other one was pro-choice. So, personally, I'm pro-choice, right? I'm not pro-life. And here's why. As I put in my title, I really don't think that life is always a gift. I know that everybody tries to set it up like it is, but it's really not, though. It's not. I can understand the concept of why people feel that that is the case. But here's the thing. This world is made and set up for certain people. And it's not for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who suffer in one way or another. Now, I know that people always want to be like, well, life is what you make it. And, life isn't always bad. Somebody always has it worse, blah, blah, blah. Listen, all of that can be true, but this is what I always say to that. Yes, someone's always going to have it worse than you. That is a fact. But I don't like the fact that people say that and then they try to make it seem like even though someone's life might be bad or worse than yours, that yours isn't bad. And an analogy I look at is like this. So, say you got your hand chopped off, right? Now you're down a hand. Okay, yes, there may be a person who they got their entire arm chopped off. And yes, that's worse. But you getting your hand chopped off is still bad. I don't know, like, this kind of goes even into my last video where I was talking about like a lack of sympathy and empathy and everything. But I'm so serious. I don't know why everybody makes it seem like everybody's lives are like created equally or whatever. And the thing is, not everybody is built the same either. Like, yes, it's true. If you are in really bad conditions, yes, you could work really hard, get yourself out of those positions, elevate yourself, make all this money, be the success story. Sure, you could maybe potentially do that. But first of all, how many people do? Second of all, how many people actually have the willpower to do so? Like, not everybody is built the same. Just because one person is able to do something, it doesn't mean that everybody else is going to be able to do it. You could have two people in the same circumstance and they handle it completely differently. You could have a person who sees abuse going on in their household and two different people, they both see it. One person says, this abuse is terrible. I will never be this person. The other person, they learn the behavior. They think that that's how things work and they continue on the cycle. And a lot of times the thing is, if you are surrounded by a certain type of behavior all the time, if everyone has a certain mentality, then unless you're exposed to a different mentality, why would you even know that that's a mentality that you shouldn't have? Especially if the mentality you have is one that is uplifted by all of the people around you. It's like I always say, you don't always know what you don't know. Like, if you don't know, like, say for example, you were a person who didn't have a car, right? Say that there were no cars. Maybe you live like out in the country or whatever. Say you live on a farm out in the country and that's all you've ever seen. And because you don't have a car, there's no roads, whatever, you think that that's all there is. If you're not seeing that there is more out there, why would you think that there is? Now, maybe you do, right? Maybe you do think that there is, and that's cool. But it's also reasonable to think that this person is not going to know that there's more out there. And that if they, I don't know, walked for a while or whatever, that they would run into something completely different. It's just like, if like maybe you've seen like those pictures, there's like the person and they're trying to escape somewhere, right? They got the pickaxe and they're trying to chip at the wall and they're trying to get to freedom, and they're chipping and they're chipping and they're chipping and they've been doing it for however long they're doing it. And then they finally just stop, right? Because as far as they're concerned, they've been doing it for so long. They've never found freedom. They don't know how much further they would have to go. They don't know if there's even an end to this, so they stop. But had they did the pickaxe one more time, they would have found freedom. Here's the thing. You might look at that and say, well, that means just keep going. But let's look at this from a realistic point of view. If you don't know for a fact that things are going to get better, if you don't know that, because here's the thing, there's not always a guarantee that things are going to improve, that things are going to get better. There's not. I know that people like to always say, oh, things will get better, things will look up. And there's a certain amount of optimism there. And listen, I think optimism has its place and, but realistically speaking, not everyone is going to have a good life. Not everyone is going to have things work out for them. And when you don't know for a fact that things are going to work out, you can try at something for a very long time. But if it seems as if it's never going to work out, you're going to stop if you don't know for a fact that you will eventually succeed. Like, chances are you're going to stop. And yes, it could be that had you gone that one extra mile, you would have succeeded, but you don't know that. But to say, well, because you don't know, and because it could just be that one more, you should keep trying. But it also, like, look at when they were doing it before. How many one mores they had, and that never panned out. I think you really have to be realistic about this stuff, and nobody wants to, and I get it, because nobody wants to be in the state of negativity. Nobody wants to be depressed. No one wants to look at the negative all the time. You want to be more optimistic. You want to be hopeful, but you have to also look at how much energy that takes, and how much, when you have that hope and time after time after time, it doesn't work out, how much that takes from you. But it's like, nobody wants to acknowledge it, right? So here's my thing. When we talk about life being a gift, if you aren't a situation where things are more, you have more of a I cannot think of the words right now, of an advantage. There we go. If you are not put in a position where you have the advantage, where you have more opportunity, if you are put in the position of the person who has to struggle more because this world was not made to cater to you, then if your life is suffering, is that really a gift? Like, is suffering a gift? I'm so serious, because people say life is a gift, but if your life is just full of negativity, depression, and suffering, how is that a gift exactly? How is it? And people act like it's so easy to turn your life around. That is not always the case. Because even people who manage to turn their lives around, sometimes those people, even though they may be disadvantaged in one area, they might be advantaged in another area, which helps them be able to turn their life around. Like, for example, there could be a girl. She was born into a life of, all she's seen is chaos in her household. And she's poor, impoverished, not in a good neighborhood. But she fits the beauty standard. So she manages to do something, whether it's, I don't know, making an OnlyFans, finding a rich man, whatever. And she manages to escape that impoverished life and do better for herself. Now, that's just one example. But she did have some sort of advantage that helped propel her. And obviously, there will be, situations where, this isn't always the case. And you will have people who nothing really is going for them, and they still manage to succeed. And those types of people I really admire, because not everyone is able to do that. But I think that people don't realize that people who are able to pull themselves out of extremely difficult situations are not the norm, because not everyone is built like that. And those types of people are exceptional people. And I think it's really easy for people to say stuff like, oh, just work harder, just put more effort in, just get it together, just this, just that. And even those people who manage to do it, right, will say, well, I did it, so why can't you do it? And honestly, the answer is because y'all are built different. And, if you want to be cocky, whatever, you were just at a higher level. You were just that person. You were better. You had it within you. And that's amazing, but not everybody does. And so I think to put everybody at the same level like that, it's like, it's not fair. And I feel like this whole concept of, being pro-life, and it's like, my thing is this: if you're going to have a kid, I think that you should try to have a kid in the best circumstances you can possibly have. You make sure that you're good. You have a stable living situation. You have stable financial, a stable financial situation. You have some sort of support system to be able to help you raise this baby. Like, I think you need to have the best life set up so that you can try to have the best life for this baby, because this baby did not ask to be brought into this world. It was forced into the world. And so it deserves to have the best set of circumstances that it can be given. But, a lot of times that's not the case. The baby is brought into a situation where maybe they weren't wanted or they're not loved or whatever. And then they have parents who say, well, you should be grateful that you're even here. You owe me. It's like, I didn't ask to be here. How do I owe you something? You're the one who decided that I need to be here. And then it's like you force me to be in a situation where I was already going to be disadvantaged, as if life isn't hard enough. But now I have additional disadvantages. I am struggling in one way or another. But then you try to tell me, like, I owe you? For what? For me suffering? For me struggling? I'm not having a good time here. I don't like it here. This world was not made for me. And I'm going to talk about men talking about, women, they live life on easy mode. Blah, 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 right? Listen, if you are a dark-skinned black woman with Afrocentric features, statistically the most undesired woman out of all the women, right? And then we look at, men are very status driven, very visual. And if society has dictated that look is not desirable, she not getting picked. So where's her easy mode? She doesn't have the physical advantages given to her of being a man, but she doesn't have the societal beauty standards granted for being a woman, beauty advantages. Where's her easy mode? Where is it? This is just an example. But where's the easy mode? So again, this whole concept of, well, I'm going to bring a child into a bad situation because even though it's a bad situation and chances are they're going to struggle and they're not going to have a good situation, there is a chance. There's a chance they could have a good one. And who am I to take away their chance? It's like, I get the perspective. I get it. But it's also like, when we look at probability, right? And we look at a situation, if you're bringing somebody into a situation that's already bad, you can't guarantee what type of person you're going to get. But most people only have but so much willpower, right? Most people are not the exception. Most people are the rule. And so when you bring the rule into a situation where things are not looking up very much, things are a struggle, chances are this person is just going to struggle and they're not going to have a very good life. Where's the gift? I'm so serious. Where is the gift? And people who are suffering, and then other people, tell them, well, just keep going, keep, because things will look up. You don't know that things are going to look up. And my thing is, instead of just telling, and this is another thing, right? People want to always tell somebody that their life is going to get better, right? But you're just saying stuff. It's just words. My thing is, if you want to say that this person's life is going to be good or going to be better or whatever, then instead of just saying that this person's life is going to be better, going to be good, instead of just saying that, you need to be making strides to make that a reality. Like, don't just say, oh, your life is going to get better. Do something that will actively make their life better. Give them something. Do something. Try to provide something. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to be this person's like lifeline. You make them your dependent. But I'm saying like just try to contribute something to even give them some hope, to even give them some life. You know, because you just saying, oh, well, your life's going to get better. That don't do nothing. Words are just words. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. Actions speak louder than words. And it's just like, you know, trying to tell somebody that, you know, their reality isn't their reality or whatever. It's like, no, maybe you didn't live my life, but my reality is mine. You can't tell me something else. And so it's like, if I'm telling you, listen, things are hard for me. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. You have no right to tell me that I'm not struggling. But people will try to do that. Or they'll try to say, but well, I mean, it could be worse. You know, you're why? And then there's the whole thing of, well, I don't know why you're complaining. You shouldn't even be complaining. You know, trying to shame someone for feeling upset. I mean, my thing is just there's a balance. But people act like there isn't a balance. And it goes overboard. There's no real sympathy. There's no real empathy. And just it's always this thing of, you know, life is a gift. Life is what you make it. But sometimes you can only make it but so much. Why can't we acknowledge that things are hard? That things are a struggle? Why can't we do that? It seems like we're not allowed. And it's frustrating. Not everyone's circumstances are good. Not everyone's circumstances are going to become good. Sometimes you can try to do better and it's not going to work. People try to preach this whole thing about everything just comes down to hard work, and that's just not true. I know everyone want to act like it is. It's not. There is a certain amount of luck that goes into it too. You could work harder than anybody else and still not see the results of someone else who didn't work as hard but was luckier. And that's just a fact. It's not to say that hard work means nothing, because that's not true either. There is something to say for hard work, but let's not make it sound like that's all it is, because then that's what makes things feel even less fair. Because if you're told all you have to do is work hard, and then you work hard, but you still don't see the result, you feel gaslit. It's like, but I thought all I had to do was work hard. That's what everyone told me, that if I just did this, then I would get the life that I wanted. I did everything right. I did everything that I was supposed to. And yet, I still didn't get it. Like, that is a hurt piece. That sucks. And it's something that people don't want to acknowledge. It's like people just want people to suffer. But it's dressed up with this sense of optimism and hope and all this stuff. And again, that has its place. It's nice. But I think we need to be more realistic. And it's like some people try to make it sound like if you say not all things are good, rather than being realistic, everyone wants to paint you as a pessimist. Just because you want to acknowledge that not everything is good. And that's just not true. Trying to make it seem like everything is good isn't realistic either. It just isn't. Not everything is good. Not everything is bad. In some people's lives, there's more bad than good. And in other people's lives, there's more good than bad. Everybody is different. And I just wish that that would be acknowledged. Life is not always a gift. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It really varies based on the individual. And why some people can't see, or really it feels like a lot of people can't see that life is not always a gift. To me, that's just crazy. But look, I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm done. I don't know if I'm gonna be back on here doing another live or whatever, or another video. And I actually did not bring up the other really controversial topic that I thought I might touch on, but I didn't really want to. I didn't do it. But you probably could imply it based on things that I've said. But either way, if you listen to this, thanks for listening. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you want to add something in the comments, you can if you want. But yeah. Thank you for listening, and maybe I'll catch you in the